So welcome to the first edition of the SUNation Energy podcast. The goal of this show is to educate people about renewable energy, EV charging, batteries. I will give you my views, what I believe to be true. That is my fact. That doesn't mean they're 100% accurate. And I'm okay with being challenged either on camera or live or anything. Please comment on that. But it's going to be fun. It'll be transparent. So our first guest on this podcast is Paule Pachter, who I've known since 2016. Paul is the CEO of Long Island Cares, the Harry Chapin Food Bank, which is, you'll see how I tie this all together in just a minute. But welcome, Paul.
Welcome, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. This is very cool.
When I first met Paul, it was 2016, and Paul and I have not discussed anything we're going to talk about today, just so you know. It was 2016. I was at an awards function, and Paul was getting an award. I don't exactly remember what the award was for, but I knew 3 other people that were there that were getting awards also.
Okay.
And I was so moved by your speech and how pissed off you were. That's what you were. You were pissed off because you realized after all of these years working with people with food insecurity and challenging these issues, you still had a job, like that we haven't fixed this. And your speech was eloquent, but there was a tone of you were angry that you had to still do this stuff. And when I came up to you afterwards, I said, listen, that was really compelling. Some of the stuff was so relevant. Do you have it on paper? Because I'd love to reread it. You know, I listened to some parts, and you said, Scott, I don't write anything down. When you speak from the heart and when you know your business, you never really have to prepare anything.
That's true. That's what I believe. Yeah.
So that's how I first met you. Paul and I also sit on a board of directors together with the Hot Bud, the Long Island Innovation Park at Hot Bud.
Correct.
And that's kind of how we got tied in together. And what we want to talk today, you know, we typically talk about solar and storage and EV charging. Okay, it's on this house and it's on this building, and only the people that utilize the solar, you know, for their own benefit. And that's kind of how we started. You came up to me in about 2017, and you said, "How can we get involved in this?" Because, and the words resonated. It takes more than food to feed the hungry. And then we all started on this. So first, tell us a little bit about what you do, the Harry Chapin Food Bank, and your story.
Well, as you know, and hopefully your viewers know, Long Island Cares was founded in 1980 by the late singer-songwriter Harry Chapin, who had a passion for addressing the issue of hunger, but also solving it. He honestly believed that you could solve hunger. And Harry decided that one of the ways that he can go about doing this was to establish a food bank. So he reached out to the powers that be, the elected officials, about property, about funding, and he was able to secure enough funding to establish the regional food bank in 1980. In the process, Harry also laid out the vision for the organization. And the organization not only was about providing food to feed people who are food insecure, but doing something to lift them out of the cycle of poverty. Because without being lifted out of the cycle of poverty, there'll be no end to this. People will just be in this very vicious cycle. And so he challenged the organization to focus in on what he referred to as the root causes of hunger: unemployment, immigration status, disability, catastrophic medical conditions, aging, whatever you could find that would lead a person to be food insecure. And there went Long Island Cares, and everyone knows, less than a year later, Harry was gone in the crash on the LIE, but he left behind this legacy. And it's my role and the role of my staff to ensure that the legacy continues. And that's what we do.
Well, you take it, it's not just a job, it's an adventure, and it's a passion. And you know what you're up against on a daily basis, and I can't even imagine. We'll dive a little bit into COVID and the numbers that you experienced, because I just recently, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I was sort of blown away. I had this moment at a local. I wrote you about this. I was at a local store, and there was a little old lady, you know, with the little square basket with the big wheel in the back and stuff. And she got to the checkout counter. I'm behind her, and I'm looking at what she's got. Regular stuff, milk, skim milk. Yeah. You know, just
the
regular
essentials,
stuff, tuna,
the basic
fish.
stuff.
Right, old people essentials especially, right?
Yeah.
And she got to the thing and she was $15 short. And, you know, it wasn't 30 cents, it wasn't 50 cents. And she was fumbling around in her bag and she was stunned. And she's looking at what she's going to put back. And I put, you know, I says, listen, I got it covered. Don't worry, I got it covered. And I started talking to her and I says, what's going on? You know, are you okay? And again, I have an 83-year-old mother, you know, in Delray, and you know, she's like, you know, it's the end of the month, and obviously she's on a fixed income, and with the cost of food now, as I'm sitting there with $21.99 filet mignon, you know, for my daughter and stuff, and she's like, at the end of the month, last week I was $5 off. This week I'm 15, and I was kind of blown away. And it gave me such perspective on, you know, the price of food it's not going to really negatively impact me. Yeah. But man, those are the people that are getting slammed right now.
Absolutely.
You know, is that what you're experiencing?
Yeah. You know, look, I'll share the number with you. There are 250,000 people on Long Island who are struggling to put food on their table every single day. Not only food, but the right food. Things that are nutritious, things that aren't going to, you know, make them gain weight or have, you know, diabetes or anything else like that. And of the 250,000 people, about 40% of them are Long Islanders who are working. They're carrying 1, 2, 3 jobs just to take care of their expenses, their rent, their mortgage, feeding their family, the car insurance, of course, putting gas in the car, paying for school supplies, clothing, and they're struggling because number one, it's extremely expensive to live on Long Island. And it depends on who the population is because our seniors have a set of issues that's unique to them. The children who we provide food for, all 79,000 of them, they and their families have different issues. Our veterans have different issues. So it's a problem, and it's been a problem that seems to keep escalating. We thought we had it under control about 6-8 months ago following the first 2 years of COVID. And then because of inflation, the numbers started to creep up again. So what we're looking at right now is about a 15% increase in the number of people.
And you know, you see, like, one of the things that's always bothered me is people don't realize who it is. Yeah. It's not just a little old lady, and it's not just, you know, an immigration status person. It's people that are working side by side. They could be in the studio and stuff. Absolutely. That are struggling, and you don't even know it, right? So, but one of the things, again, you know, back to resonating to, it takes more than food to feed the hungry. You kind of, when we started talking 2017, we started talking about how can renewable energy help people, because again, root causes, if they're struggling with food, their pets are not being properly fed, their electricity is going to be turned off, their health insurance, everything spirals. You know, the only thing that I found that doesn't spiral, that is recession proof, is dance classes for kids, judo classes, because no matter what, if you can't eat, that kid is going to go to judo class, you know. But, you know, we started talking about solar, and you guys have a great building in the Innovation Park in Hart Park. And you know, there were a couple of paths that we could go by, and you'll see some pictures of the solar system that we deployed on your building. But Paule's direction was, we need to do more than just put solar up there. How can we do more? And PSE&G and LIPA came up with this program called Community Solar, which was, again, you were one of the first to take advantage of it. And to describe what community solar is there's a large group of solar panels on a roof, but instead of that power just going into the building that it sits upon, or the home, that power goes into the grid, and then you can decide where does it go. So there's a perfect opportunity for Long Island Cares to start to deliver discounted power to people as well. it took a little bit of navigation to get it through, but kudos to the Long Island Cares Board of Directors who believe in you. I've never seen a board that believes, you're like Don Quixote. Paul's going this way, jump on board. Let's go. You do not want to. And we came up with a great solution where we deployed 852 solar panels on your roof. But we were able to devise it in a fashion where we have about 16 families that are getting discounted power, saving $1,000 each a year, something. And $1,000, that $100 a month is food.
Absolutely.
It's a massive amount of relief. The rest of it that couldn't go to the off-takers, because once we fill that up, becomes a revenue generator into the building. However, every dollar that Long Island Cares offsets in their fixed cost for running that building is dollars that can go out into the public, into people that help. So currently, and I'm going to surprise you with some numbers right now, is currently the system was designed and it produces an offset for about 16 people, and we use 21 cents a kilowatt hour at the rate. You're now at 27 cents an offset rate right now. So that means that what was $70,000 a year is now $90,000 a year. So that means that these people still have a fixed dollar amount that they're spending for that electricity. They have been protected now for 100% of their power has now remained at a fixed cost, and they're saving about 20% off, at least 20% off what was. Now they're saving 20% off what is, which is, there's a huge delta there. But there's probably an extra $15,000 to $20,000 from that system that is now at your disposal to blow out. So,
it works.
Right? So
it absolutely works.
So it was a win-win. And you've seen, so this was deployed, I think we got it up and running in about 2019.
It was fast. You guys were quick.
You know what? As we say, the hardest part is the paperwork. Once we were through the board and once we had approvals and stuff and we could start doing paperwork, it was probably a 3-month process of studies with PSE&G. We also needed to navigate, your facility needed a transformer upgrade.
Right.
So that was like, now you have, the one thing about the Long Island Cares facility, when you drive there, parking sucks. Okay, so, between the trucks that they have, the traffic bringing food in and stuff like that, and the employees that are on site. So to take a spot to put a transformer, it was, we had to navigate those kinds of things. Every spot is precious. But we were able to get it done. We turned it on in 2019. And again, it's generating at this point right now, it's a little bit north of where we expected. It's about 350,000 kilowatt hours a year that this thing is generating. And it's been operating flawlessly. There hasn't been an electronic failure and stuff. So even though I'm on the hook for making sure that this thing stays on and running. But tell me about the backside, because I was on the contractor side, right? Tell me, and when we first talked about this, there was a holistic, there was a reason. And I was captivated by hey, I don't just want this for this. This has to do more than just that. So tell me about the decision and why you made it.
Well, I think, first of all, similar to the way you met me is very much the way I listened to you at a presentation on renewable energy. And, you kept hitting the mark for me and saying the words that were starting to make sense. The community solar project, the inexpensive nature of the panels, the efficiency of the system. And I remember you challenging other corporations that have their space in the Innovation Park, in the Long Island Innovation Park, to, this is a big movement, guys. There's a lot of money out there for renewable energy. Let's get on the bandwagon together. And you mentioned a couple of corporations you worked with that had the panels on the roof. And they're all for-profit corporations. And I thought to myself, well, we have a building. In fact, I have a brand new roof. Why can't we take the panels? And then listening to you describe the community project, it was like, wait, maybe we could put the panels on the roof, generate the energy, and give the energy to the people who are known to us. as you said, because it takes more than food to feed the hungry. We know that we have to be able to help people maintain good health. We know that we have to help people find employment, gainful employment. And we know that we have to be able to do things that can lower their expenses and costs. So the ability to put solar panels on the roof just made good sense to us. And you worked with us very closely to identify the off users. We were focusing a great deal on our veterans and their families. And if we could reduce their expenses, as you said, that would give them more money to put food on their table, pay their other bills. And this has been a win-win. I mean, every month when I prepare my monthly report for our board, there's a section in the report on the energy program. And we always tell people we're in the food business, but we're also in the energy business. Right. And people are like, what do you mean you're in the energy business? And then we tell them about the roof. And people, believe it or not, have come over just to see it. Right. They wanted to see it. But it just made sense for our mission. It made sense for focusing in on the root causes of hunger. And to this day, we're still challenging other corporations in the Long Island Industrial Park to make the investment.
Yeah, it's, you know, one of the highlights that I wanted to bring out also is this: when we work for for-profit companies, there's robust savings in tax credits and depreciation expenses and stuff like that that offset, you know, 50% of the initial outlay, right? So, you know, the for-profit mentality is, hey, I'm gonna, you know, this not only does this make sense, but I'm a profitable company. I can save on taxes and all that stuff. Yeah. You went the other way. You know, the irony is that nonprofits, the people that really need the help, there's absolutely no government benefit. I mean, I know. Listen, I know that you guys work with grant money and stuff like that and stuff, but from an energy standpoint, you pay full boat for the energy. There's no, hey, I'm Long Island Cares, I deserve a special rate for my building. You don't get that. And then when we do projects like this, you know, the toughest thing is that you were, I mean, kudos to you guys again, that you were financially stable, that you could make an investment like this. Okay, most nonprofits are not stable enough to make these types of investments. And even though, you know, it still made sense, even though because of the holistic mission of how you were going to deploy this energy, the couple of extra years of payback on the system, you know, won't be another few years, another 3 or 4 years, and this will all be gravy. There's no, the investment, I think we calculated, was a 4.9 year payback.
It was more closer to 5 or 6, but the fact of the matter is you're correct. It was looking forward to saying, so this is an investment. It's just like an investment in taking out a car loan. You know, we're going to pay it off in 3 years, we're going to pay it off in 5 years, and when it's over, it's mine. That's the way we looked at the same thing about the solar panels. Pay it off.
But the nice thing is, as I said before, when we did all the cash flow analysis, you're now 30% above on the cash flow analysis. So the value of that power has gone up so significantly that it'll compress that ROI a lot, which is great. The scary part is, where does this end? Like, so, you know, let's talk about a little bit about, like, what is, for me, for my industry, we're on fire right now.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, I used to say in the beginning of COVID, everybody said, you know, we're all in this together, right? And that was right from a health standpoint, but from a business standpoint, total bullshit. Yeah. There were companies that made money hand over fist.
Yes, they did.
You guys, I'm sure you struggle because if the restaurants are closed, food, you know, a lot of your food is donated food as well, correct?
Well, some of it, not a lot of it. Actually, most of the food that we distribute to Long Island is food that we purchased. But I'll share with you the COVID thing. You're on fire now in terms of alternative energy. The food banks were on fire for the first 2 years of COVID. You couldn't turn on CNN or MSNBC or Fox and not see the food lines and not hear about the food banks. When you have people like Jeff Bezos donating $100 million and you have Mackenzie Scott donating, you know, close to, you know, $200 million. So we did fine. But again, just like with the solar panels, we needed to invest it into our work because we knew that even though we would come out of COVID, it would take a number of additional years to bring people back to where they were, because as you know, all the jobs that were lost didn't come back. And so it became a challenge as to how do you set Long Island Cares up for the next 5 years, the next 7 years. And we certainly, benefit from the fact that these solar panels are on our roof, because it's just another part of the revenue that comes into the organization that allows us to do new and creative things, like leasing another building on David's Drive in Hauppauge, where we are, to clear up the parking lot that you were in. So half our staff is at 75 David's Drive and the other half is at 10 David's Drive. But we came out of COVID a lot well, but the problem is that a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
And, we're still working with people that have lost loved ones. We're still working with people who now are looking at the increase in cases of about 7.5%, are concerned that we may be going in the wrong direction. But to be able to be on the forefront with you and SUNation on renewable energy, I'm really hoping that my colleagues in the nonprofit field see the benefit of this.
Yeah, no, we're experiencing a great, what I call a surge of energy awareness.
It's wonderful.
It's driven by costs.
Mm-hmm.
And, my business started with a FU to the utility, right? That's what solar, nobody wanted to play well with the utility, but now it's, they did an okay job. Now when people open up their bills in July, it's just gonna be insanity, okay? And so whereas a lot of people made a lot of money during COVID, I was not one of them, we were shut down. Now people are really starting to go, wow. And I'm 20 years in. Like, I'm doing this 20 years now, right? And I always say, what made you go today? What was the reason today? Because, man, I went 20 years ago, But I appreciate that Long Island Cares under your leadership, because I can't say that every leader would have the cojones to do what you did and really look outside the box, and that's why Long Island Cares is so successful, is because you continue to look outside the box, and I'm happy to be part of that with you.
No, thank you.
And we're going to there's a brick. Tell us about
Yes.
the brick. Tell us about the brick thing.
On July 15th of this year, Long Island Cares is going to unveil what we're calling the Harry Chapin Legacy Walkway. We're celebrating what would have been Harry's 80th birthday.
Wow.
And I've always believed that Chapin was referred to by Newsday as one of the most important Long Islanders of the 20th century.
Not Lindsay Lohan.
No,
Definitely not Lindsay Lohan.
No. He was so well respected. He was so revered by people. He was so, approachable to people when he walked through the town of Huntington. And we thought that, what could we do? In the time that he's been gone, 42 years, we've had 2 theaters named after him. We've had a street in the Long Island Innovation Park named after him. And we wanted to do something to mark his 80th birthday. And so we came on the idea of let's do like a statue thing. And we came up with the idea of the bust of Harry. It's in the process of being finished now. And on July 15th, we're going to dedicate it in front of our building at 10 David's Drive. You're certainly invited because you took a brick. That's wonderful. And the walkway it's a beautiful walkway. It's lined with engraved bricks. It's lined with benches. There's trees being put into it. And it's just a way to remember Harry. But it's also to make Long Island Cares in the industrial park a destination for people.
Right.
You don't have to come in and make a donation or give us money. Just come. You want to see the bust? Come on. Sit on a bench. You want to remember Harry? Be our guest.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So again, I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
Here. I'm thrilled to be part of the Long Island Cares family, and I'm just encouraging. I think we can both say that there are so many ways to use renewable energy if you think outside the box and you have the cojones to go after it. There's a solution for every roof. There's a solution for every building. And it means so much if people know, when people know about this. All right?
Absolutely.
So thank you, Paul.
Scott, thank you.
I appreciate your time, man.
My pleasure, anytime.
We're part of the family.
Absolutely.
And TiedIn Media will be taking a brick also.
Uh-oh.
So next time on the SUNation Energy Show, we'll be talking about electric vehicle charging.